Hello and welcome to our radio drama presentation of Treasure Planet. Please note that this is a live production, and the cast has had no rehearsals together, so there may be occasional stumbles in the dialogue. We're expecting to have a lot of fun, and hope you will too. And now, please enjoy Treasure Planet.
On the clearest of nights, when the winds of the Ethereum were calm and peaceful, the great merchant ships with their cargoes of Arcturian Sura crystals felt safe and secure. Little did they suspect that they were pursued by pirates. And the most feared of all these pirates was the notorious Captain Nathaniel Flint.
A young boy lays on his bed. The lights in his room are out, but his face is illuminated by the glow of a book that displays holograms as a narration track and sound effects are played. The boy watches in awe as a pirate spaceship lays siege to a luxury liner.
Like a Kandarian zapwing overtaking its prey.
James Pleiades Hawkins.
The boy quickly closes the book as the door to his room opens and his mother walks in.
I thought you were asleep an hour ago.
Mom, I was just getting to the best part. Please.
Ah, but can those eyes get any bigger? Scooch over.
Jim's mother sits on the bed and opens the book again.
Like a Kandarian zapwing overtaking its prey, Flint and his band of renegades swooped in out of nowhere.
Aliens of all shapes and sizes swarm the luxury liner, led by Flint, a terrifying creature with 6 eyes and sharp fangs.
And then, gathering up their spoils, vanished without a trace.
Oh,
Ooh.
Flint's secret trove was never found, but stories have persisted that it remains hidden somewhere at the farthest reaches of the galaxy, stowed with riches beyond imagination, the loot of 1,000 worlds. Treasure Planet.
Okay.
A planet
Well-
with a pair of crossed rings is displayed as Jim's mother closes the book.
Okay. Blow your nose.
Mom, how do you think Captain Flint did it? How'd he swoop in out of nowhere and vanish without a trace?
Jim crawls across the bed and hides under the covers.
I have no idea. Come here, you little. I'm gonna get you.
Jim's mother playfully pursues and catches him.
Okay. Now it's time for this little spacer to go to sleep.
Someday I'll ever find Treasure Planet.
Sweetheart, I think it's more like a legend.
I know it's real.
You win. It's real.
Night-night, Mom.
Nighty-night, sweetheart. I love you.
Love you too.
Jim crawls under his covers and opens the book again.
There are nights when the winds of the Ethereum, so inviting in their promise of flight and freedom, make one's spirit soar.
12 years later, Jim, now a young man, flies through the clouds on a flying windsurfer. He closes the sail and lets himself free fall, twisting and spinning as he drops, then reopening the sail just before he hits the ground. He rides past a black and yellow barrier into an industrial site, skillfully navigating around metal hubs and grinding across pipes. He hollers victoriously after zooming through the gaps of a mill wheel, but his celebration is cut short when a pair of police droids pull up behind him.
Oh, great.
Elsewhere, a quaint bed and breakfast with a sign that reads the B.E.N sits on a cliffside with a small airship dock attached to it. Inside, Jim's mother is preparing a tray of food when a one-eyed, tentacled alien beckons her.
I know. Refill on the perp juice. Coming right up, Mrs. Dunwiddie.
She walks over to a table occupied by a couple of frog-like aliens and their young son.
There we go. That's 4 powdered Cepheroids, 2 lunar eclipses, and it's a big bowl of Zarelian jellyworms for the big boy.
Yum.
Enjoy.
She next takes a pair of dog dishes to a table where a gentleman with a human stature and a dog's snout and ears sits reading a book.
Sorry, Delbert. It's been a madhouse here all morning.
No problem, Sarah. It's been a... my Alponian chowder with the extra Solaris. Yum.
As he eagerly sniffs his food, a small frog girl approaches his table.
Hello. What brings you here, curious little one?
He lifts a spoonful of food up to his mouth as the girl continues to stare at him.
Go away. Are your parents around? What's the matter? Cat got your... Yeah!
The girl's tongue shoots out of her mouth and steals the food out of Delbert's spoon. She happily skips away as Sarah returns.
Oh, they're so adorable at that age.
Oh, yes. Deplorable. Adorable. Speaking of which, how's Jim doing?
Much better. I know he had some rough spots earlier this year, but I really think that he's starting to turn a corner.
The door of the inn opens, and the 2 police droids walk in, holding Jim by the arms.
Mrs. Hawkins.
Jim!
Ooh, wrong turn.
Okay, thanks for the lift, guys.
Not so fast.
We apprehended your son operating a solar vehicle in a restricted area.
Moving violation 904, section 15, paragraph,
6.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Jim!
As you are aware, ma'am, this constitutes a violation of his probation.
Yes. No, I understand. But, could we just,
Delbert approaches the officers.
Pardon me, officer, if I might interject here. I am the noted astrophysicist, Dr. Doppler. Perhaps you've heard of me? No? I have a clipping.
Are you the boy's father?
Oh,
what? No.
good heavens, no.
Ew. He's just an old friend of the family.
Back off, sir.
sir.
Thank you, Delbert. I will take it from here.
Well, Sarah, if you insist, don't ever let me do that again.
Due to the repeated violations of Statute 15C, we have impounded his vehicle, and any more slip-ups will result in a one-way ticket to juvenile hall.
Kitty Huskow.
The Slammo.
Thank you, officers. It won't happen again.
We see his type all the time, ma'am.
Wrong choices.
Dead enders.
Losers.
You take care now.
Let's motor.
The officers leave, and Sarah turns to see all the inn's guests staring at her and Jim for a moment before they resume their meals and conversations.
Jim, I have had it. Do you want to go to juvenile hall? Is that it?
Jim grabs a tray and starts taking dirty dishes off a nearby table.
Jim, look at me. It's been hard enough keeping this place afloat by myself without you going...
Mom, it's no big deal. There was nobody around. Those cops just won't get off my...
Sarah gives her son a disapproving stare.
Forget it.
Mrs. Hawkins, my juice. Mrs. Hawkins, my juice.
Yes, I'll be right there, Mrs. Dunwiddie. Jim, I just don't want to see you throw away your entire future.
Sarah goes to get Mrs. Dunwiddle's juice, while Jim takes the dishes to the kitchen.
Yeah. What future?
That evening, Jim sits alone on the inn's roof. As he sulks, he overhears Delbert and his mother talking inside.
I really don't know how you manage it, Sarah. Trying to run a business while raising a fellow like Jim.
Managing it meant the end of my rope. Ever since his father left, well, Jim's just never recovered. You know how smart he is. He built his first solar surfer when he was 8. And yet he's failing at school, he's constantly in trouble, and when I talk to him, he's like a stranger to me. I don't know, Delbert. I've tried everything.
Jim's attention is drawn away from his mother by a small, burning ship crash landing on the dock. He quickly climbs down from the roof and runs over to the wreckage.
Hey, mister? Mister, you're okay in there, right?
A large salamander wearing a cloak and bicorn hat falls out of the ship, along with a locked chest. The man grabs Jim by the shirt and pulls him in close.
He's a comin'. Can you hear him? Those gears and gyros clicking and whirring like the devil himself.
Hit your head there pretty hard, didn't you?
He's after me chest, that fiendish cyborg and his band of cutthroats. But they'll have to pry it from old Billy Bones' cold, dead fingers before I...
The man kneels over, clutching his throat with one hand and the locked chest with the other.
Oh my. All right, come on. Give me your arm. That's it.
Jim throws Billy's arm over his shoulder and helps him toward the inn as it begins to rain.
Good lad.
Oh, Mom's gonna love this.
Inside, Sarah sets the windows of the inn to display a field of flowers, while Doppler puts on his coat.
Thanks for listening, Delbert. It helps.
It's going to be okay. You'll see.
I keep dreaming one day I'll open that door, and there he'll be just the way he was. A smiling, happy little boy holding a new pet and begging me to let him keep it.
Delbert opens the door and sees Jim with Billy slumped over his shoulder.
James Pleiades Hawkins!
Mom, he's hurt. Bad.
Jim lowers Billy to the floor.
Me chest, lad.
Jim slides the chest to Billy, who types a code into the keypad lock and pulls out a small, wrapped bundle.
He be coming soon. Can't let him find this.
Who's coming?
Billy grabs Jim and whispers in his ear.
The cyborg. Beware the cyborg.
Billy slumps over and stops moving. They have no time to mourn him before a bright light shines into the building and a large ship descends to the dock outside. Jim opens a small segment in the window overlay and sees multiple figures stalking toward the inn.
Quick, we gotta go.
Multiple laser blasts fly into the building, narrowly missing Doppler.
I believe I'm with Jim on this one.
They retreat upstairs as a chandelier falls from the ceiling and sets the floor on fire. The invaders enter to see Billy's body and the empty chest. Upstairs, Delbert pokes his head out of a window and calls out.
Delilah! Delilah!
A lizard creature attached to a carriage looks up with delight.
Stay. Don't move.
Downstairs, the trespassers tear the inn apart.
Where is it? Where is it?
It's got to be somewhere.
Find it.
The shadow of a large man points up the stairs, and multiple figures start ascending them.
Don't worry, Sarah. I'm an expert in the laws of physical science. On the count of 3. 1.
3!
Jim shoves Delbert and his mother out the window, then jumps out himself. They land safely in the carriage.
Go, Delilah. Go!
As they make their escape, Sarah looks back to the Benbow Inn ablaze. Jim reaches into his pocket, pulls out the bundle from Billy's chest, and unwraps it to reveal a golden sphere with strange markings all over it. Later, they arrive at Doppler's house, a stately mansion with an observatory attached.
I just spoke to the constabulary. Those blackguard pirates have fled without a trace. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm afraid the old Benbow Inn has burned to the ground. Well, certainly a lot of trouble over that odd little sphere.
Jim picks up the orb and begins fiddling with it, poking at buttons and turning segments of it around.
These markings baffle me. Unlike anything I've ever encountered, given my vast experience and superior intellect, it would take me years to unlock it.
The sphere's engravings illuminate, and green light begins pouring out of it.
Hey!
A grid covers the inside walls of the observatory, and images of planets are projected throughout the room.
It's a map. Wait. This is us, the planet Montresor.
The map's focus begins moving away from Montresor.
That's the Magellanic Cloud. Oh, the Coral Galaxy. Oh, that's the Cygnus Cross and the Kirin Abyss. Wait, what's this? What's this?
A planet with 2 crossed rings come into view.
Why, it's...
Treasure Planet.
No.
That's Treasure Planet.
Flint's Trove, the loot of 1,000 worlds. You know what this means?
It means that all this treasure is only a boat ride away.
Whoever brings it back would hold an eternal place atop the pantheon of explorers. He'd be able to experience...
The map disappears.
Oh, what just happened?
Mom, this is it. This is the answer to all our problems.
Jim, there is absolutely no way.
But don't you remember all those stories?
That's all they were. Stories.
With that treasure, we could rebuild the Ben boat 100 times over.
Oh, well, it's Delbert, would you please explain how ridiculous this is?
It's totally preposterous. Traversing the entire galaxy alone?
Now at last we hear some sense.
That's why I'm going with you.
Delbert!
I'll use my savings to finance the expedition. I'll commission a ship, hire a captain and a crew.
You're not serious.
All my life, I've been waiting for an opportunity like this, and here it is screaming. Go Delbert, go Delbert, go.
Okay, you're both grounded.
Mom, look, I know I keep messing everything up, and I know that I let you down. But this is my chance to make it up to you. I'm gonna set things right.
Sarah, if I may.
The 2 step aside.
You said yourself, you've tried everything. There are much worse remedies than a few character-building months in space.
Are you saying this because it's the right thing or because you really want to go?
I really, 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 really want to go. And it's the right thing.
Jim, I don't want to lose you.
Mom, you won't. I'll make you proud.
Well, there we are then. We'll begin preparations at once. Jim, my boy, soon we'll be off to the spaceport.
A few days later, Jim disembarks a ship as the bustling spaceport located on the planet's artificial moon.
Jim? Oh, Jim! Wait for me!
Delbert disembarks, wearing a full-body suit that looks like it would be fit for scuba diving. He opens the suit's helmet as he approaches Jim.
Well, Jim, this should be a wonderful opportunity for the 2 of us to get to know one another. You know what they say, familiarity breeds, well, contempt. But in our case...
Look, let's just find the ship, okay?
Jim asks a robot and an orange alien for directions, while keeping his distance from Doppler.
Second berth on your right.
Well, hey,
Yeah,
thanks.
It's the suit, isn't it? I should never have listened to that pushy two-headed saleswoman. This one said fit, that one says my color. I didn't know what to do. I get so flustered. Oh, Jim, this is our ship, the RLS Legacy.
Whoa.
They stand before a pristine vessel large enough to require 3 masts. The crew moves about the ship while a large man in a red coat and tricorn hat that looks like he's made of stone oversees them.
Those cast forward, heave together now.
As they board the ship, Jim accidentally bumps into a large, slug-like creature.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean...
Allow me to handle this. I'm fluent in flash logic. Took 2 years of it in high school.
He salutes the slug as he walks off.
Flatula. Cool.
Delbert makes his way over to the man barking orders.
Good morning, Captain. Everything shipshape?
Shipshape it is, sir, but I'm not the captain. The captain's aloft.
He gestures to the nearby mast, and a feline woman in a long blue coat jumps off the crossbar, grabs a rope, and swings toward them, letting out a fierce meow as she lets go of the rope, flips, and sticks the landing with a proud smile. Doppler's helmet slams shut as he and Jim gawk at her for a moment.
Mr. Arrow, I've checked this miserable ship from stem to stem, and as usual, it's spot on. Can you get nothing wrong?
You flatter me, Captain.
Ah, Dr. Doppler, I presume.
Yes, where are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Stop that banging.
If I may, Doctor, this works so much better when it's right way up and plugged in.
She turns a knob on the suit, grabs a plug, and inserts it into the back of the suit. Delbert removes his helmet as the suit hums to life.
Ah, lovely, there you go.
If you don't mind, I can manage my own plugging.
I'm Captain Amelia, late of a few run-ins with the Protean Armada. Nasty business, but I won't bore you with my scars. You've met my first officer, Mr. Arrow. Sterling, tough, dependable, honest, brave, and true.
Please, Captain.
Oh, shut up, Arrow. You know I don't mean a word of it.
Well, excuse me. I hate to interrupt this lovely banter, but may I introduce you? Jim Hawkins. Jim, you see, is the boy who found the treasure.
Amelia grabs Delbert by the mouth.
Doctor, please.
She looks around suspiciously, noticing several crewmates watching their conversation.
I'd like a word with you in my stateroom.
She quickly escorts them to a large, tidy stateroom and bars the door behind them.
Doctor, to muse and blabber about a treasure map in front of this particular crew demonstrates a level of ineptitude that borders on imbecilic. And I mean that in a very caring way.
Imbecilic, did you say? Foolishness.
May I see the map, please?
Here.
Amelia eyes the orb with amusement as she moves toward a cabinet and locks it away.
Fascinating. Mr. Hawkins, in the future, you will address me as Captain or Ma'am. Is that clear?
Ugh.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes, ma'am.
That'll do. Gentlemen, this must be kept under lock and key when not in use. And Doctor, again, with the greatest possible respect, zip your howling screamer.
Captain, I assure you,
Let me make this as monosyllabic as possible. I don't much care for this crew you hired. They're... How did I describe them, Arrow? I said something rather good this morning before coffee.
A ludicrous parcel of drivelling galoots, ma'am.
Ah, there you go. Poetry.
Now see here.
Doctor, I'd love to chat. Tea, cake, the whole shebang. But I have a ship to launch and you've got your outfit to buff up. Mr. Arrow, please escort these two neophytes down to the galley straight away. Young Hawkins will be working for our cook, Mr. Silver.
Whoa, what? The cook?
Soon after, Doppler stomps down the steps to the galley, followed by Jim and Arrow.
That woman, that feline. Who does she think she is working for whom?
It's my map, and she's got me busting tables?
I'll not tolerate a crossword about our captain. There's no finer officer in this or any galaxy.
They make their way into the galley and see a large man cutting some vegetables with a cutlass.
Mr. Silver?
Why, Mr. Arrow, sir, bringing in such fine-looking distinguished gents to grace my humble galley. Had I known, I'd have tucked in me shirt.
The man turns toward his visitors, revealing that his left side consists of a mechanical peg leg, arm, and eye.
A cyborg.
May I introduce Dr. Doppler, the financier of our voyage?
Love the outfit, Doc.
Silver's mechanical eye emits a red beam of light that scans over Delbert. He holds his hands over the crotch of his suit.
Well, thank you. Love the eye. This young lad is Jim Hawkins.
Jimbo.
Silver steps forward and offers his mechanical hand, the fingers of which are currently an array of sharp objects. Jim looks at him suspiciously.
Ah,
Silver's forearm flips around, swapping the blades for a proper robotic prosthetic. Jim's gaze does not change. Silver shrugs nonchalantly and resumes his meal prep, showing off various modes of his arm as he goes.
now, don't be too put off by this hunk of hardware. These gears have been tough getting used to, but they come in mighty handy from time to time. Here, now, have a taste of me famous Bonza Beast stew.
He offers a bowl to Doppler, who tentatively samples it.
Delightfully tangy, yet robust.
Old family recipe.
An eyeball floats to the top of the stew.
Ah!
In fact, that was part of the old family. I'm just kidding, Doc.
Silver plucks the eyeball out of the bowl and pops it into his mouth.
Yes, well...
I'm nuttin' if I ain't a kidder. Go on, Jimbo, have a swig.
Jim lifts up a spoonful of the gruel, but the spoon itself swallows the liquid, sprouts eyes, and transforms into a cheerful pink blob.
Morph, you jiggle-headed blob of mischief. So that's where you was hiding.
Morph transforms into a spoon and slurps up the entire bowl. He floats out of the bowl and nuzzles against Jim, then turns into a small replica of him.
What is that thing?
What is that thing?
He's a morph. I rescued a little shapeshifter on Proteus 1.
The creature reverts to its blob form, flies over to Silver, and cuddles against his cheek.
Aw, he took a shine to me. We've been together ever since, right? Yeah, nice boy.
We're about to get underway. Would you like to observe the launch, Doctor?
Would I? Does an active galactic nucleus have superluminal jet? I'll follow you.
Mr. Hawkins will stay here in your charge, Mr. Silver.
Begging your pardon, sir, but...
Captain's order. See to it the new cabin boy's been kept busy.
So, Captain's put you with me, eh?
Whatever.
Well, who be a humble cyborg to argue with a captain?
Jim grabs a purple fruit from a barrel and begins eating it while Silver resumes preparing food.
Yeah. You know, these perps, kind of like the ones back home, on Montresor. You ever been there?
I can't says I have, Jimbo.
Come to think of it, just before I left, I met this old guy who was kind of looking for a cyborg buddy of his.
Is that so?
Yeah. What was that old salamander's name? Oh, yeah. Bones. Billy Bones?
Bones? Bones? Tain't ringing any bells. Must have been a different cyborg. There's a slew of cyborgs roaming this port.
A whistle is heard coming from the deck.
Prepare to cast off.
Off with you, lad, and watch the launch. There'll be plenty work awaiting for you afterwards.
Silver continues seasoning the food as Jim leaves, but stops once he's gone.
We best be keeping a sharp eye on this one, eh, Morph? We wouldn't want him straying into things he shouldn't.
Topside, a small six-eyed slug looks through a six-lens telescope from the crow's nest before calling down.
We are all clear, Captain.
Well, my friend, are we ready to raise this creaking tub?
My pleasure, Captain. All hands to stations, smartly now. Come on, you scurvy scum. Loosen all solar scales. Brace up.
Jim walks onto the deck just in time to see the ship lift off. The sails open and glow with hexagonal patterns as they catch the sunlight and send the power down the mast and into the ship's engine. Everyone begins to float off the deck.
Mr. Snuff, engage artificial gravity.
The flatulence-speaking alien salutes the captain. He pulls a lever, and everyone falls back down to the deck.
South by southwest, Mr. Turnbuckle, heading 2100.
Aye, Captain. 2100.
Full speed, Mr. Arrow, if you please.
Take her away.
Brace yourself, Doctor.
Brace yourself.
Doppler goes flying as the ship jets forward.
Oh.
The ship makes its way into the Ethereum and soon encounters a school of flying whales.
Upon my word. An Orcus Galacticus. Smile.
He pulls out a camera.
Doctor, I'd stand clear.
As Doppler leans over the ship's rail to take a picture, an Orcus spouts slime onto him. Amelia scoffs playfully at the doctor as Silver approaches with Morph on his shoulder.
Ah, 'tis a grand day for sailing, Captain. And look at you. You're as trim and as bonny as a sloop with new sails and a fresh coat of paint.
You can keep that kind of flimflammery for your spaceport floozies, Silver.
Spaceport floozies.
You're cutting me to the quick, Captain. I speaks nothing but me heart at all times.
Nothing but me heart.
And, by the way, isn't that your cabin boy aimlessly footling around in those shrouds?
A momentary aberration, Captain, soon to be addressed. Jimbo, I got 2 new friends for you to meet. Say hello to Mr. Mop and Mrs. Bucket.
Yippee.
Later, Jim gets to know his new friends as he swabs the deck.
Yeah, I got your Mr. Mop.
A hulking, 4-armed alien shoves his way past Jim.
Watch it, twerp.
Jim glances over at several crewmates who are murmuring to each other. One of them looks over at Jim, his arms crossed.
What are you looking at, weirdo?
The crewmate's head stands up, using its hair as legs, and walks off the body it was standing on. The torso uncrosses its arms to reveal a face.
Weirdo.
A spider-like creature with lobster claws down from the mast. His yellow eyes trained on Jim.
Cabin boys should learn to mind their own business.
Why? You got something to hide, Bright Eyes?
Maybe your ears don't work so well.
Yeah. Too bad my nose works just fine.
Why, you impudent little...
The alien pins Jim to the mast as the crew gathers around, egging him on.
Go ahead, slice him, dice him.
Any last words, cabin boy?
As he raises a claw towards Jim's throat, a mechanical vice grabs his wrist and pulls it away.
Mr. Scroop, have you ever seen what happens to a fresh perp when you squeeze real hard?
Silver clamps down on Scroop's wrist, and he drops Jim. Silver lets him go as Mr. Arrow walks onto the deck.
What's all this then? You know the rules. There'll be no brawling on this ship. Aye, aye, sir. Any further offenders will be confined to the brig for the remainder of the voyage. Am I clear, Mr. Scroop?
Scroop leers at Arrow, but the glow of Silver's mechanical eye catches his gaze.
Transparently.
The crowd scatters until it's just Jim and Mr. Silver.
Well done, Mr. Arrow, sir. A tight ship's a happy ship, sir. Jimbo, I gave you a job.
Hey, I was doing it until that bug thing.
Belay that! I want this deck swabbed spotless, and heaven help you if I come back and it's not done. Morph, keep an eye on this pup, and let me know if there be any more distractions.
Jim resumes his swabbing as Silver descends to the mess hall below deck, where the rest of his crew the rest of the crew is chattering. They go quiet as he enters. The small, multi-eyed slug scurries past him and finds a seat.
So, we're all here then.
Excuse me.
Fine. Now, if you pardon my plain speaking, gentlemen, are you all stark raving, totally blinking daft? After all me finagling to get us hired as an upstanding crew, you want to blow the whole mutiny before it's time?
The boy was sniffing about.
You'll just stick to the plan, you bug-brained twit. As for the boy, I'll run him so ragged he won't have time to think.
Topside, Jim mops alongside a small free-moving mop that transforms into a pink blob.
Well, this has been a fun day, huh? Making new friends like that spider psycho.
Morph transforms into a miniature Scroop.
Spider Sega, Spider Sega.
Yeah, a little uglier. Yeah, pretty close.
Silver returns.
Well, thank heavens for little miracles. Up here for an hour on the deck still in one piece.
Look, what you did there, thanks.
Didn't your pap ever teach you to pick your fights a bit more carefully?
Jim looks down with a scowl.
Your father not the teaching sort.
No. He was more the taking off and never coming back sort.
Oh, sorry, lad.
Hey, no big deal. I'm doing just fine.
Is that so? Well, since the captain has put you in my charge, like it or not, I'll be pounding a few skills into that thick head of yours to keep you out of trouble.
What?
From now on, I'm not letting you out of me sight.
You can't do that.
You won't so much as eat, sleep, or scratch your bum without my say-so.
Don't do me any favors.
Oh, you can be sure of that, my lad. You can be sure of that.
The next morning, Silver has Jim scraping barnacles off the hull of the ship. Later, he shows Jim how to tie various knots in the crow's nest. At one point, he looks over to Jim, but the boy is gone, and a perfectly replicated knot holds a rope in place a perfectly replicated knot holds a rope in place going down from the lookout. Jim is already walking away across the lower deck. That afternoon, Silver oversees Jim scrubbing the deck, who remembers his father paying little attention to him. In the evening, Silver discovers Jim asleep in the galley, having cleaned every dish on the ship. Jim wakes up with Silver's coat over him. The next day, Silver teaches Jim how to operate a solar skiff. As Silver casts the small boat off from the Legacy's bay, Jim recalls the day his father climbed aboard his ship and left him and his mother behind. Jim snaps himself back to reality and joins Silver in the skiff. The two fly through the tail of a comet together, marveling at the color and light around them. As they return to the Legacy, Jim doesn't see Silver looking at him proudly. Once back on board, they secure the ship in the hull.
You having a little trouble there?
Oh, get away from me. Oh, Jimbo, if I could maneuver a skiff like that when I was your age, they'd be bowing in the streets when I walked by today.
Out of the streets.
I don't know. They weren't exactly singing my praises when I left home. But I'm gonna change all that.
Are you now? How so?
I got some plans. Gonna make people see me a little differently.
Oh, sometimes plans go astray.
Not this time.
Ooh. Oh.
Silver props his mechanical peg leg up on the seat of the skiff and attempts to tighten a butt by hand, but Morph quickly transforms into a wrench.
Oh, thank you, Morphy.
So, how'd that happen anyway?
You give up a few things, chasing a dream.
Was it worth it?
Heh. I'm hoping it is, Jimbo. I most surely am.
Suddenly, the ship tilts violently toward one side. They return topside and look around. Doppler is there as well, holding a telescope.
What the devil?
Good heavens! The star Pelusa! It's gone supernova!
Captain Amelia sprints toward the helm as multiple fiery waves move toward the ship.
Evasive action, Mr. Turnbuckle.
Aye, aye, Captain.
All hands, fasten your lifelines.
As the solar flare moves steadily toward the ship, a few stray pellets of fire scorch through the ship's sails.
Mr. Arrow, secure those sails.
Secure all sails. Reef them down, men.
As the sails begin to fold away, several crew members operate cannons, blasting away debris that is headed towards the ship.
Yeah, baby. Ba-boom.
Jim and Silver work together to secure one of the sails, but a stray fireball hits Silver, knocking him down from the mast.
Ah!
Silver!
Jim grabs Silver's lifeline and hoists him back up.
Whoa, thanks, lad.
They look up and see flaming rock several times larger than the Legacy hurtling toward the vessel. They brace themselves, but just before the impact, the fireball slows to a stop, then begins receding, along with the ship.
Captain, the star!
It's devolving into a black hole!
We're being pulled in.
Turnbuckle loses control of the wheel, but Amelia grabs hold of it.
Oh, no, you don't, you...
Despite Amelia's efforts, the ship rapidly hurtles towards the former star.
Ah, blast these waves. They're so deucedly erratic.
No, Captain, they're not erratic at all. There will be one more in precisely 47.2 seconds, followed by the biggest Magella of them all.
Of course. Brilliant, Doctor. We'll ride that last Magilla right out of here.
All sails secured, Captain.
Good man. Now release them immediately.
Aye, Captain. You heard her, men. Unfurl the sails.
What?
But we just finished.
Time them down. Make up your blooming minds.
Mr. Hawkins, make sure all lifelines are secured, good and tight.
Aye, Captain.
Scroop and Arrow work together, unfurling a sail while Jim confirms the integrity of all the lifelines.
Lifeline secure, Captain.
Very good.
A blast of solar wind rocks the ship, and Arrow falls from the mast toward the black hole, but his lifeline catches him. As he begins to pull himself back toward the ship, Scroop scuttles out from behind the sail. Scroop grins and uses his claw to snip Arrow's lifeline.
Oh no, I'm falling.
Darn you, microphone gain limiter!
Darn you.
Mr. Arrow's screams go unheard by the crew as he falls into the abyss.
Captain, the last wave, here it comes!
Hold on to your lifelines, gents. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Silver and Jim brace themselves against a mast as the ship falls into the black hole. A moment before the Legacy is consumed, a massive burst of fire explodes out of the darkness. The solar sails catch the light of the blaze, giving the engines enough power to just barely outspeed the inferno.
Captain, oh my goodness, that was absolutely, that was the most...
Oh, tish tosh. Actually, Doctor, your astronomical advice was most helpful.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I have a lot of help to offer astronomically. Ugh.
Well, I must congratulate you, Mr. Silver. It seems your cabin boy did a bang-up job with his lifelines. All hands accounted for, Mr. Arrow? Mr. Arrow.
Scroop steps forward and hands Arrow's tricorn hat to Amelia.
I'm afraid Mr. Arrow has been lost. His lifeline was not secured.
No. I checked them all.
He runs over to the lifeline holders and sees one empty.
I did. I checked them all. They were secure, I swear.
Amelia glares harshly at Jim. At the same time, Scroop smirks maliciously at Silver, who gives a disapproving expression in return. Amelia turns to the crew.
Mr. Arrow was, fine spacer. Finer than most of us could ever hope to be. But he knew the risks, as do we all. Resume your posts. We carry on.
Amelia returns to her stateroom, and the crew disperses. Later that night, Silver finds Jim sitting alone in the shrouds.
It weren't your fault, you know. Why, half the crew would be spinning in that black abyss if not for...
Look, don't you get it? I screwed up. For 2 seconds, I thought that maybe I could do something right, but... Yeah! I just forget it.
Now, you
Forget it.
listen to me, James Hawkins. You got the makings of greatness in you, but you gotta take the helm and chart your own course. Stick to it, no matter the squalls. And when the time comes, you get the chance to really test the cut of your sails and show what you're made of. Well, I hope I'm there, catching some of the light coming off you that day.
Jim leans into Silver, who looks around cautiously before patting the boy on the back.
There, lad. It's all right, Jimbo. It's all right. Now, Jim, I best be getting back to about my watch, and you best be getting some shut-eye.
Jim gives Silver a smile as he goes. Once alone, Silver looks conflicted as Morph flies up to him.
Getting in too deep here, Morphy. Next thing you know, they'll be saying I've gone soft.
Silver continues his watch, but doesn't see Mr. Scroop watching him from atop one of the masts. The next morning, Jim is awoken by Mr. Snuff.
Ugh.
He falls out of his cot and begins putting on his shoes, but one of them hops away.
Morph, knock it off. It's too early for this.
Morph appears behind Jim, kicks him in the rear, and grabs his actual shoe.
Ow! Hey, Morph! Hey, come back here.
Jim chases the changeling onto the deck and succeeds in retrieving his shoe.
Gotcha, Morph.
Morph turns into a fish and spits water in Jim's face. Jim grins playfully.
That's it, you little squid. You little squid.
He pursues Morph into the empty mess hall and eventually finds his target in a barrel of perp fruit, jumping in to grab the pink blob.
Busted.
Look, what we're saying is we're sick of all this waiting.
Jim looks out a small hole in the barrel to see Silver and the rest of the crew filing into the mess hall.
There's only 3 of them left. Right, we are wanting to move.
We don't move until we've got the treasure in hand.
I say we kill them all now.
I say what's to say. Disobey my orders again like that stunt you pulled with Mr. Arrow, and so help me you'll be joining him.
Strong talk, but I know otherwise.
You got something to say, Scroop?
It's that boy. Methinks you have a soft spot for him.
Now mark me, the lot of ya. I care about one thing and one thing only. Flint's trove. You think I'd risk it all for the sake of some nose-wiping little whelp?
Oh, what was it now?
Oh, you've got the makings of greatness in you.
Shut your yap! I cozied up to that kid to keep him off our scent, but I ain't gone soft.
Planet Ho!
The rest of the crew looks up and quickly runs for the deck, leaving Jim to contemplate what he just heard in the barrel. When the others get topside, they can see Treasure Planet on the horizon.
Ha ha! There it is! Feast eyes and click heels if you got 'em.
Where the devil's me glass?
In the mess hall, Jim climbs out of the barrel and is halfway out the door when Silver returns and sees his spyglass on a table, and a scowling cabin boy.
Jimbo. Playing games, are we?
Yeah. Yeah, we're playing games.
Oh, I see. Well, I was never much good at games. Always hated to lose.
Silver holds his cybernetic arm behind his back and flips his hand away in exchange for a pistol. At the same time, Jim grabs a sharp utensil from the table.
Huh. Me too.
Yeah!
Silver howls as Jim sinks the small blade into the hydraulic pump of his peg leg. He drags himself out of the mess hall, and his mechanical eye allows him to see Jim running into the captain's stateroom, Morph zipping in right behind him. Silver pulls himself to his feet and whistles loudly.
Ugh, blast it all. Change in plans, lads. We move now.
Silver's mechanical arm flips around, replacing his hand with a cutlass as the crew yells with excitement and begins swarming the ship.
Strike our colors, Mr. Onus.
With pleasure, Captain.
The pirates raid the armory, while Mr. Silver watches Onus swap the ship's flag out for a Jolly Roger. We will now have a 10-minute intermission. Welcome back to Act 2 of Digital Era's presentation of Treasure Planet. In the captain's stateroom, Amelia opens the locked cabinet.
Pirates on my ship. I'll see they all hang. Doctor familiar with these?
She hands a laser pistol to Doppler.
Oh, I've seen, well, I've read.
He accidentally fires it, vaporizing a globe on the shelf next to Amelia.
No, I'm not.
Amelia pulls the orb out, and Morph admires his reflection in it. The door's lock begins to glow orange, and sparks fly from it.
Mr. Hawkins, defend this with your life.
She tosses the orb toward Jim, but Morph intercepts it.
Morph! Give that back!
Jim is able to pry the orb from Morph and put it in his pocket. Outside the door, Mr. Silver approaches the pirates, blasting the door's lock.
Oh, you're taking all day about it.
He puts a cannon attachment on his mechanical arm and blasts the door away. They barge into an empty room with a hole in the floor. Silver throws one of his crewmates down it.
Stop him!
Amelia, Doppler, Jim, and Morph make their way through the bowels of the ship. As they move into the ship's bay, the captain shuts the door behind them and solders it shut with her laser pistol.
To the longboats, quickly!
They pile into the longboat and open the bay door, but Morph plucks the orb from Jim's pocket and flies off the longboat.
Morph, no!
Chew on this, you pus-foiled boils!
Amelia exchanges fire with the pirates as Delbert holds out his gun and fires. He hits a piece of machinery hanging from the ceiling, which falls and crashes through the platform the pirates are standing on, sending them plummeting from the ship.
Did you actually aim for that?
You know, actually, I did.
More pirates arrive, including Silver, who begins closing the bay door.
Oh, blast it. Doctor, when I say now, shoot out the forward cable. I'll take this one.
Silver then sees Jim chasing after Morph nearby.
Morph!
Morphy, come here.
Morph, bring it here. Morph, come here.
Come here, boy. Come to your dad.
Come here, boy. Come on, Morph.
Come on, Morph. Morphy.
Morph, here. Morph.
Morph dives into a pile of rope. Silver moves forward but stumbles, his leg
Ah.
still damaged. He drags himself forward, but Jim reaches the pile first. He reaches in, pulls out the orb, then darts toward the longboat. Silver aims at Jim with his cannon arm, but lowers it with frustration.
No!
Jim leaps into the longboat as Amelia and Delbert blast away the cables suspending it. The craft plummets out of the hangar, and Amelia quickly deploys the sail and activates the engine.
Parameters met. Hydraulics engaged.
On the deck, a pirate aims a cannon at the longboat.
That's it. Come to Papa.
Hold your fire! We'll lose the map!
Too late.
Captain, laser ball at 12 o'clock.
Also too late. The rear of the ship is blown away and the engine explodes next to Amelia. She strains as she uses the rudder alone to maneuver the craft as it falls out of the sky, hitting several mushroom-like trees on the planet's surface to reduce their velocity. But she can't prevent the nose of the ship from hitting the ground, causing the entire thing to flip over and skid to a halt on the jungle floor. After a moment, Jim lifts the ship, and the three slowly stand.
Oh, my goodness. That was more fun than I ever want to have again.
That's not one of my gospel endings. Ugh.
She clutches her side as she falls to her knees.
Captain,
Oh, don't fuss. Slight bruising, that's all. Cup of tea and I'll be right as rain. Mr. Hawkins, the map, if you please.
When Jim pulls the golden orb out of his pocket, it lifts up out of his hand and transforms into a pink blob.
Morph! Morph, where's the map?
The blob becomes a small piece of rope suspended in midair.
Are you serious? It's back on the ship?
Stifle that blob and get low. We've got company.
They hide under the wreckage of their ship as another longboat descends toward the surface.
We need a more defensible position. Mr. Hawkins, scout ahead.
Hi, Captain.
She hands Jim a pistol and then loses her balance again.
steady, steady. Now, let's have a look at that.
Brown chicka bow wow.
Jim and Morph head deeper into the jungle. They both turn as they sense something watching them.
Shh.
Jim draws his pistol and carefully approaches a large plant with an open bulb. As he looks inside, a robot with green LED eyes and wires sticking out of the back of his head jumps out and pounces on Jim.
Ah!
Ah!
Oh, this is fantastic. A carbon-based life form come to rescue me at last. I just want to hug you and squeeze you and hold you in close to me.
All right, okay. Would you just let go of me?
Oh, sorry. It's just, I've been marooned for so long. I mean, solitude's fun, don't get me wrong. For heaven's sake, after 100 years, you go a little nuts. I'm sorry. My name is,
Morph transforms into a copy of the robot and has a bird pop out of his head.
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Ben! Of course, I'm Ben, bioelectronic navigator. And you are?
Jim.
Oh, what a pleasure to meet you, Jimmy.
It's Jim.
Anyway.
Look, I'm kind of in a hurry, okay? I gotta find a place to hide. There's pirates chasing me.
Oh, pirates! Don't get me started on pirates. I don't like them. I remember Captain Flint. This guy had such a temper.
Wait. You knew Captain Flint?
I think he suffered from mood swings, personally. I'm not a therapist, but anyway. But you let me know when I'm rambling.
But that means... But wait. But then you gotta know about the treasure?
Treasure?
Yeah. Flint's trove? You know, loot of 1,000 worlds?
It's... Well, it's all a little fuzzy. Wait, I remember. I do. Treasure. Lots of treasure. Buried in the centroid of the mechanism. And there was this big door opening and closing. And Captain Flint wanted to make sure nobody ever could get his treasure. So I helped him with data inaccessible. Reboot. Oh!
Jim slaps Ben.
Oh. And you are?
Wait. What about the treasure?
I want to say Larry?
The centroid of the mechanism. Or
I'm sorry. My memory isn't what it used to be. I've lost my mind. I've lost my mind. You haven't found it. You haven't found it, have you? Me, my missing piece, my primary memory circuit.
He points to the sparking wire sticking out of a socket on the back of his head.
Look, Ben, I really need to find a place to hide, okay? So I'm just gonna be, moving on.
Oh, so well then. I guess this is goodbye, huh? I'm sorry that I'm so dysfunctional. So go ahead and I do understand. I do. Bye bye.
Morph looks to Ben, then to Jim with a pleading expression.
Look, if you're gonna come along, you're gonna have to stop talking.
Ben leaps into Jim's arms.
Huzzah! This is fantastic. Me and my best buddy out looking for being quiet.
And you have to stop touching me.
Touching and talking. That's my two big no-nos.
Okay. Now, I think that we should...
Say, listen, before we go out on our big search, would you mind if we took a quick pit stop in my place? Kind of urgent.
The robot pushes aside some foliage to reveal a moss-covered cottage.
Ben, I think you just solved my problem.
As the sun begins to set, Delbert carries an unconscious Amelia into the cottage. The interior is as coated in moss as the exterior, and trinkets are strewn about everywhere.
Pardon the mess, people. You'd think in 100 years I would have dusted a little more often, but, when you're batching it, you tend to let things go.
Amelia's eyes slowly open as Delbert lowers her down and leans her against the wall.
Oh, isn't that sweet? I find old-fashioned romance so touching, don't you? How about drinks with a happy couple?
Oh, no, thank you. We don't drink. And we're not a couple.
Amelia gives Doppler a smile, but the doctor quickly looks away and realizes there's strange shapes on the interior walls of the cottage.
Look at these markings. They're identical to the ones on the map. I suspect these are the hieroglyphic remnants of an ancient culture.
Mr. Hawkins, stop anyone who tries to approach. Ugh.
Yes. Now listen to me. Stop giving order for a few milliseconds and lie still.
Very forceful, Doctor. Go on, say something else.
Hey, there's some more of your buddies. Hey, fellas, we're over here, fellas. Oh.
Ben narrowly dodges multiple laser blasts. Jim starts to return fire, but the pirates quickly advance on the cottage.
Stop wasting your fire. Ugh. Hello up there.
Silver steps forward and holds up a small white flag with his human hand, while using an extension of his mechanical one as a crutch for his still damaged peg leg.
Jimbo? If it's all right with the captain, I'd like a short word with ya. No tricks, just a little palaver.
Come to bargain for the map, doubtless. Pestilential. Ugh.
Captain,
Well, that means that he thinks we still have it.
Jim walks out towards Silver, followed by Morph, who playfully zips over to the pirate. The other pirates hang back near the tree line, well out of hearing range.
Ah, Morphy. I wondered where you lit off to. Ugh. Oh, this poor old leg's downright snarky since that game attack we had in the galley. Whatever you heard back there, at least the part concerning you, I didn't mean a word of it. Had that bloodthirsty lot had thought I'd gone soft, they'd have gutted us both. Listen to me. If we play our cards right, we can both walk away from this rich as kings.
Yeah?
You get me that map, and an even portion of the treasure is yours.
Boy, you are really something. All that talk of greatness, light coming off my sails. What a joke.
Now, just see here, Jimbo.
I mean, at least you taught me one thing. Stick to it, right? That's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure that you never see one doubloon of my treasure.
That treasure is owed me, by thunder!
We'll try and find it without my map, by thunder.
Oh, you still don't know how to pick your fights, do you, boy? Now mark me. Either I get that map by dawn tomorrow, or so help me, I'll use the ship's cannons to blast you all to kingdom come! Morph, hop to it, now!
Morph hides behind Jim.
Ugh, blast it!
Silver stalks back toward the jungle, glancing behind him sadly. That evening, Delbert continues tending to Amelia.
Gentlemen, we must stay together and...
And what? What? We must stay together and what?
Doctor, you have wonderful eyes.
She's lost her mind.
Well, you gotta help her.
Damn, Jim, I'm an astronomer, not a doctor. I mean, I am a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I have a doctorate. It's not the same thing. You can't help people with the doctorate. You just sit there and you're useless.
It's okay, Doc. It's all right.
Yeah, Doc, Jimmy knows exactly how to get out of this. It's just Jimmy has this knowledge of things. Jim, any thoughts at all?
Jim looks outside at the pirates camping just inside the tree line, and the legacy floating above them.
Without the map, we're dead. If we try to leave, we're dead. And if we stay here...
We're dead. We're dead. We're dead. We're dead.
Well, I think that Jimmy could use a little quiet time. So I'll just slip out the back door.
Back door?
Oh, yeah, get this delightful breeze through here, which I think is important because ventilation among friends.
The back door is an open-topped orb in the floor, through which lies some scaffolding hanging above a pit of tubes and wires that lead downward.
Whoa. What is all this stuff?
Oh, you mean the miles and miles of machinery that run through the entire course of the inside of the planet? Not a clue.
Hey, Doc. Doc, I think I found a way out of here.
No. Jim, wait. The captain ordered us to stay.
I'll be back.
Jim jumps in, followed by Morph and Ben.
Cannonball!
A few minutes later, Jim peeks out from under a hub near the pirates' camp as they sleep.
So, what's the plan?
Jim quickly covers the robot's mouth and checks that the pirates are still unconscious.
Shh. Ben, quiet. Okay. Here it is. We sneak back to the legacy, disable the laser cannons, and bring back the map.
That's a good plan. I like that plan. The only thing is, I'm wondering, how do we get there?
On that.
Jim glances up at the floating longboat tethered to a tree. They manage to make their way to the legacy and quietly peer over the deck rail.
Huh?
Seeing nobody there, they climb aboard. Ben lands on his face instead of his feet.
Ah!
Ben, shh.
Sorry.
They make their way below deck.
Okay. I'll get the map. You wait here.
Roger, Jimmy. I'll neutralize the laser cannons, sir.
Wait, no, Ben! Ben!
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
That's the wrong script!
Ben deploys wheels behind his feet and begins rolling down the hallway.
Disable a few laser cannons. What's the big deal? We gotta find that one little wire.
He finds a circuit board covered with wires.
Oh, mama.
Meanwhile, Jim goes to the ship's bay and finds the orb in the rope pile.
Yes.
An alarm starts blaring. Ben, still at the circuit board, awkwardly holding a disconnected wire.
Bad, Ben, bad. Okay, fixing.
He reconnects the wire and the alarm stops. At the same time, Jim sprints toward the staircase leading to the deck.
That stupid robot's gonna get us all
He sees Mr. Scroop standing atop the stairs.
killed.
Heaven, boy.
Ah!
Jim retreats through the hallway, knocking over boxes and barrels as he goes, but Scroop begins skittering across the wall, then the ceiling, closing in on his prey. Morph transforms into a pile and into a pie and slams into Scroop's face. The arachnid scrapes the changeling off and tosses him into a ventilation pipe that carries him across the hall. Jim uses the distraction to hide behind a corner and draw his pistol. He jumps out as Scroop approaches and catches the pirate off guard, but the lights go out.
Whoops. Okay, don't panic. Breathe in. Breathe it out.
In the hall, red emergency lights activate, but Scroop is gone. Jim looks around, but doesn't see the spider lobster preparing to attack him from above. Scroop prepares to strike just as Morph pops out of a pipe next to his head.
Hmm?
The changeling turns into a gloved hand and pokes Scroop in the eyes. Jim looks up just in time to get a claw slammed across his face. He falls and his pistol slides across the ground while Scroop pins him down. At the same time,
This has gotta be the cannons.
Ben disconnects a wire, and a moment later, he starts floating upward. The ship's artificial gravity is deactivated.
Maybe not.
Across the hall, Jim and Scroop also begin lifting off the ground. Jim kicks Scroop in the chest, sending him through the grating in the top deck. They both fly out of the ship and past the deck. Jim flails wildly as Scroop manages to grab a rope connected to a mast. He then snaps at Jim, who is sent careening past the crow's nest and barely manages to grab the end of the black flag fluttering atop the ship. He looks down to see Scroop crawling toward him. Jim sees his pistol floating by and reaches for it.
Come on, come on, come on.
His fingers hit the grip, knocking it away as Scroop climbs into the crow's nest and begins scraping his claw against the rope holding the flag aloft.
No!
Oh, yes. Do say hello to Mr. Arrow.
Jim pulls himself across the flag and onto the mast. Scroop leaps at Jim.
Tell me yourself.
Jim dodges and kicks Scroop in the back, sending him flying into the Jolly Roger. The force of the impact makes the weakened rope snap, and when the pirate rips his way through the flag, he sees he's already out of range of the mast.
Done to death yet?
In Discord, nobody can hear you scream.
Mr. Scroop floats away into the night sky.
Back you go, you naughty plug.
Ben slams the wire back into the board. He and Jim promptly slam into the ground.
Ah!
Oh,
A soot-covered Morph pops out of a nearby pipe.
Morph?
Ben, covered in sparking wires, emerges from below deck.
Laser cannons disconnected, Captain Jimmy, sir. Gee, that wasn't so tough.
They make their way back to the surface and enter the cottage from the quote-unquote back door.
Duck, wake up. I got the map.
A mechanical hand emerges from the shadows and grabs the orb out of Jim's hand.
Fine work, Jimbo. Fine work indeed.
Jim turns to see Doppler and Amelia gagged and being held by pirates while others start surrounding him.
Hey, thanks for showing us the way, boy.
As they grab Jim, Morph flies behind one of them and bites their tail. The tail smacks Morph, who then flies into Jim's pocket while another pirate grabs Ben.
What's this sorry sack of metal?
Ah, not the face.
You're just like me, Jimbo. You hates to lose. Ha 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 ha.
He attempts to open the map, but can't.
What the devil's the... Ugh, open it.
He shoves the orb into Jim's hands, but Jim does nothing with it.
I'd get busy.
He rotates his arm into its pistol mode and points it at his hostages. Doppler nods yes, while Amelia nods no. Doppler sees this and nods no as well. Silver cocks his pistol and glances at Jim, who activates the map without even looking at it. A beam of lime green light flies out of the cottage and into the distance.
Oh, the powers that be, would you look? Tie him up and leave him with the others, till we...
Jim deactivates the map.
What?
You want the map? You're taking me too.
Ugh. We'll take 'em all.
They all pile into the working longboat and begin following the trail across the planet, eventually making their way into a thick tree line. Silver, Jim, and Ben climb out, while Doppler and Amelia are held at gunpoint. Morph pops out of Jim's pocket.
It's okay, Morph. It's okay.
Jimmy, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to see my life pass in front of my eyes. At least I think it's my life. Why was I ever dancing with an android named Lupe?
Ben, shh. This isn't over yet.
We're getting close, lads. I smell treasure awaiting.
Silver uses his cutlass to slash through the trees to reveal the edge of a cliff overlooking a chasm where the beam of light abruptly ends. As they gawk at it, the map deactivates.
Where is it?
I see nothing. One great big stinking hunk of nothing.
What's going on, Jimbo?
I don't know. I can't get it open.
We never should have followed this boy.
One of the pirates pushes Jim over. As he hits the ground, he sees a circular impression with markings that resemble the ones on the orb.
I suggest you get that gizmo going again. And fast.
Aye, let's rip out his gizzards right here and now.
Draw him over cliff.
Jim puts the orb into the socket, and a green glow ripples out from it. A projection of a spherical map rises out of the ground, and beams of light reach across the chasm to form a massive triangle that opens to reveal deep space.
Oh, have mercy.
The Lagoon Nebula?
But that's halfway across the galaxy.
Jim taps a point on the map, and the triangle closes for a minute before reopening and displaying a skyline with multiple floating islands. He begins pushing more points, each revealing a new location.
A big door. Opening and closing. Let's see. Callian Abyss. Montresor Spaceport.
He taps another point, and the triangle reveals the familiar spaceport.
So that's how Flint did it. He used his portal to roam the universe stealing treasure.
But where'd he stash it all? Where's the blasted treasure?
Treasure! Treasure! It's buried in the...
Buried in the centroid of the mechanism. What if the whole planet is the mechanism, and the treasure is buried in the center of this planet?
And how in blue blazes are we supposed to get there?
Just open the right door.
Jim reaches toward the center of the map and taps the center of Treasure Planet. The door closes, then opens on a mechanical cavern. Jim tentatively moves through the door, followed by Silver and his crew, none of them realizing that they walk through a small red beam as they enter the room.
Wait for me, wait for me.
The loot of 1,000 worlds.
We are going to need a bigger boat.
Countless gold coins, gems, and other valuables coat the massive rotating core of the planet. Mechanical stalactites fire laser beams into various ports on the core, keeping it rotating at a constant, slow pace. On a particularly large amount of treasure lies a massive ship with tattered sails.
This is all seeming very familiar. I can't remember why.
Ben, come on. We're getting out of here. And we're not leaving empty-handed.
But Jimmy!
Silver kneels in the treasure and scoops some up.
A lifetime of searching. And at long last, I can touch it.
While he revels in his success, Jim and Ben climb onto the abandoned ship.
Do you know what's strange? I can't tell you how frustrating this is, Jimmy, because it's nagging at the back of my mind.
Captain Flint?
A monstrous skeleton with 6 eye sockets and sharp fangs sits on a gold throne at the ship's helm.
In the flesh! Well, sort of, except for skin, organs, or anything that resembles flesh. That's not there. And yet it's so odd, you know? I remember there was something horrible Flint didn't want anyone else to know, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, a mind is a terrible thing to lose.
Jim notices a metal panel gripped in Flint's skeletal hand. He pries it free and approaches Ben.
Ben, I think I just found your mind. Hold still.
Ah! Jimmy, your hands are very, very cold.
The wires extending from the back of Ben's head extend, plug into the panel, and snap it into place.
Whoa, hello. You know what, Jimmy, it's all flooding back. All my memories, right up until Flint pulled my memory circuit so I could never tell anybody about his booby trap.
An explosion rings out.
Speaking of which...
More explosions ripple across the ceiling of the cavern.
Flint wanted to make sure that nobody could ever steal his treasure, so he rigged this whole planet to blow higher than a Count Basie kite.
One of the stalactites fall and crashes into the core, offsetting the beams from the others. The pirates begin to flee.
Run, Jimmy! Run for your life!
You go back and help the captain and Doc. If I'm not there in 5 minutes, leave without me.
Jim crawls under the ship's console.
I am not leaving my buddy Jimmy!
He pulls Jim out from under the console. Jim is holding 2 sparking wires and scowling.
Unless he looks at me like that. Bye, Jim!
The core continues rotating as the beams of the remaining stalactites slice through its outer shell, causing the treasure to fall into the molten magma beneath. Silver claws at the riches and shoves some into his pocket as it slides away. Meanwhile, members of his crew slip and fall into the magma, and others run towards the exit.
Come back here, you blighters!
Using his cybernetic eye, he sees Jim working on the ship nearby. Back in the forest, Amelia and Delbert wait in the longboat while the planet rumbles.
All my life, I've dreamed of an adventure like this. I'm just sorry. I couldn't have been more helpful.
Oh, don't be daft. You've been very helpful, truly.
I feel like such a useless weakling.
He puts his head in his hands, then realizes that he's slipped free from the rope cuffs that were binding him.
With abnormally thin wrists.
He quickly puts his hands behind his back again and looks at the pirate at the other end of the ship.
Excuse me, brutish pirate. Yes, you. I have a question. Is that your body? Is it that your body is too massive for your teeny tiny head? Or is it that your head is too teeny tiny for your big fat body?
Alright, I'll pummel you good.
Yes, I'm sure you will. But before you do, I have one more question. Is this yours?
He points at a laser pistol at his captor. In the core, Jim succeeds in hot-wiring Flint's ship.
Yes. Morph, we are so out of here.
Ah, Jimbo, aren't you the 7th wonder of the universe?
Get back!
Jim grabs a nearby sword and points it at Silver, who simply gives Jim a dark look.
I like you, lad, but I've come too far to let you stand between me and me treasure.
One of the beams hits the side of the ship, causing it to careen to one side. Silver lands on top of a metal pillar, but Jim flies past the pillar and slides down a metal wall onto the side of the chamber, barely managing to grab a protrusion to prevent himself from falling into the magma. Silver grabs onto the ship's rail with his mechanical hand and pulls the vessel away from the beam before the loot on board can be vaporized.
Oh, no you don't. Hmm? What?
He turns and sees Jim losing his grip on the wall.
Jimbo!
He turns his robotic hand into a vice that grips the boat's rail and mechanically extends his arm to get himself closer to Jim.
Reach for me now! Reach!
I can't. Ah,
Jim loses his grip and falls a few feet before grabbing another protrusion. Silver looks back and forth between the ship filled with treasure and the cabin boy below him.
Wait, Oh, blast me for a fool!
Silver releases his grip on the boat and swings himself down toward Jim, just before he loses his grip again. They then watch as the ship sails into the laser beam and explodes. They manage to make their way back to the cliffside door while the core continues to deteriorate.
Silver, you gave up?
Just a lifelong obsession, Jim. I'll get over it.
The Legacy lowers down to the cliffside, and Ben looks over the rail.
Aloha, Jimmy! Hurry, people! We got exactly 2 minutes and 34 seconds till planet destruction!
Doppler steers the ship while Amelia, clutching her side and leaning against the mast, advises him.
You're doing fine, Doctor. Now ease her over gently. Gently!
The ship bumps into the cliffside. In the brig, the pirate crew is tied up and still panicking.
We were better off on exploding planet.
Take us out of here, middleman.
Aye, Captain!
Captain, you dropped out from the heavens in the nick of...
Save your claptrap for the judge, Silver.
Oh,
The planet's surface begins to crack, and large chunks of the metal structure fly through the air. A large piece of debris goes through one of the ship's sails, and part of the mast crashes onto one of the engines.
Mizzen tail demobilized, Captain! Thrusters are at only 30% of capacity!
30%? That means we'll never clear the planet's explosion in time.
Jim sees a still sparking thruster on the ship's deck.
We gotta turn around.
What?
There's a portal back there. It can get us out of here.
Pardon me, Jim, but didn't that portal open onto a raging inferno?
Yes, but I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna open a different door.
Captain, really, I don't see how this is possible.
Listen to the boy.
1 minute 29 seconds till planet's destruction!
Silver approaches Jim, who has the sparking thruster in one hand and a large piece of scrap metal in the other.
What do you need, Jim?
It's just some way to attach this.
All right, stand back. Stand back now.
He transforms his arm into a blowtorch and solders the engine and metal together, creating a makeshift solar surfer.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, now, no matter what happens, keep the ship heading straight for that portal.
58 seconds!
Jim flies toward the portal.
Well, you heard him. Get this blasted heap turned around.
Doctor, head us back to the portal.
Aye, Captain.
Jim deftly navigates his way through the metal debris and lava spurts as he makes his way toward the cliffside, while Delbert steers the ship as best he can.
Go to the right, the right!
I know! Will you just let me drive?
25 seconds!
Jim's surfer motor gives out as he flies over a chasm.
No.
Come on, lad.
17 seconds!
Jim rotates his surfer and grinds the engine across the metal wall of the chasm as he falls, sparking and reigniting it just before he hits the magma. Delbert braces himself as the Legacy barrels toward the gateway leading to the planet's core.
7, 6, 5,
Jim speeds toward the portal map and reaches his hand out.
4, 3, 2...
The quiet night sky outside Montresor Spaceport is abruptly disturbed as a massive portal opens. The RLS Legacy and Jim soar through it as a massive explosion rings out, pouring through the gateway. When the smoke clears, the portal is gone.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah!
You done it, Jimmy! You done it, boy! Didn't I say the lad had greatness in him?
On the deck of the ship, Delbert and Amelia embrace before looking at each other sheepishly. Jim lands after they part. Morph flies up to him and licks him like a happy dog.
Unorthodox, but ludicrously effective. I'd be proud to recommend you to the Interstellar Academy. They could use a man like you.
Just wait until your mother hears about this. Of course, we may downplay the life-threatening parts.
Jimmy, that was unforgettable. I know you don't like touching, but get ready for a hug, bad guy, because I gotta hug you. Oh, hey, you hugged me back. Oh, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Does anyone have a tissue?
Jim looks across the deck, but Silver is gone. He's already in the ship's bay, untying the ropes securing the last longboat.
Morphy, we gotta make tracks.
You never quit, do you?
Silver looks up to see Jim leaning against a nearby wall.
Ah, Jimbo, haha. I was merely checking to make sure our last longboat was safe and secure.
Well, that should hold it.
Jim does one of the knots Silver taught him.
Heh heh heh. I taught you too well. If you don't mind, we'd just as soon avoid prison. Little Morphy here, he's a free spirit. Being in a cage, it'd break his heart.
Silver smiles hopefully at Jim, who returns the smile and opens the bay door.
What say you ship out with us, lad?
Ship out with us.
You and me, Hawkins and Silver, full of ourselves and no ties to anyone.
You know, when I got on this boat, I would have taken you up on that offer in a second. But I met this old cyborg, and he taught me that I could chart my own course. That's what I'm gonna do.
And what do you see off that bow of yours?
A future.
Why, look at you. Glowing like a solar fire. You're something special, Jim. You're gonna rattle the stars, you are.
Jim and Silver embrace.
Oh, got a bit of grease in this cyborg eye of mine.
Oh, hey, Morph. I'll see you around, okay?
See you around.
Morph flies over to Silver and perches on his hand, looking glumly at Jim.
Morphy, I got a job for ya. I need you to keep an eye on this here pup. Will you do that little favor for me?
Aye, aye,
Morph nuzzles against Silver before flying over to Jim and nuzzling against him. Silver climbs into the longboat and begins to cast off from the ship.
Oh, and one more thing. Ha ha ha.
He pulls out a handful of gold coins and gems out of his pocket and tosses it to Jim.
That's for your dear mother. It's everything the film made. Not much, but it ought to be enough to rebuild that inn of hers.
Stay out of trouble, you old scallywag.
Why, Jimbo, lad, when have I ever done otherwise?
Mr. Silver flies off into the distance, waving as he goes. The next morning, the Legacy docks at the spaceport, and Jim is reunited with his mother. Sometime later, the Binbo Inn is rebuilt, and Morph transforms into a pair of scissors for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. That evening, Ben serves cake as Dr. Doppler and Amelia look after their litter of 4 newborn children. The party is interrupted by the 2 police droids who part to reveal Jim wearing Interstellar Academy regalia. While everyone dances and celebrates, Jim looks out the window and sees a cloud that resembles Mr. Silver and sees its eye glint with golden light. Thank you for listening to our radio drama presentation of Treasure Planet. Jim Hawkins was played by Cam Griffin. Mr. Silver was played by Joel Guttman. Dr. Delbert Doppler was played by Celeste English. Captain Amelia was played by Kailey Reyes. B.E.N was played by Hayes Converse. Sarah Hawkins, Mr. Onus, Mr. Snuff, Birdbrain Mary, and Oxy were played by Shinoob. Mr. Arrow, Mr. Scroop, Billy Bones, Officer One, Young Jim, Meltdown, Turnbuckle, Moron, Hands, Mrs. Dunwiddie, Eightyone, and Froggie were played by Lealin Queen. Morph, the Book, and Officer 2 were played by Sean Robert. Narration was done by me, Taylor Starnes. Audio engineering provided by John H. Baker, and script adaptation was done by Joel Guttman. We are pleased to announce that on Saturday, July 31st, we will be doing a radio drama presentation of The Fifth Element. The performance will begin at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and is free to attend, no multipass required. For more nerdy content, please follow Digital Era Entertainment here on Twitch, and you can listen to our past radio drama performances on Digital Era Entertainment's YouTube channel. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you will join us again next time.
Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us across social media for updates. Thanks for watching!